We're live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra. In Kumasi, we are on Love 99.5 FM, a number of affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. We are on Kaliewo FM in Akachi. We are on ATL FM in Cape Coast, Ganga FM in Jirapa, Dreams FM in Bogatanga. We are on Twitter Spaces, we are on Facebook and myjoyonline.com. The Midday News is sponsored by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol is always a delightful experience. Duraplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC pipes and water tank. Where Duraplus goes, water flows. This afternoon, crack team of NADMO and fire service officers in frantic search to rescue trapped miners in a collapsed pit in the Bream North district, as 7 people are confirmed dead.
The team went over there to do the mop-up, so the police and the fire service people, they are there now. They are working over there. We need to make sure that we are going to monitor over there that place.
We'll get to hear from the DC and NADMO officials. We're live in the area as well. Former chairman of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Professor Kwabena Frimpong confirms every detail in his report on illegal mining as he's interrogated by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. But the Attorney General says the report doesn't tell the whole story.
I will indicate that, or it suggests that it is not the full perspective of issues that were addressed by the respected professor. It is just his view on certain matters.
We'll get to hear more from the Attorney General on how his intervention saved the country from paying a $15 million judgment debt granted Imperial Heritage.
The Ministerial Committee on Illegal Mining has succeeded in seizing the equipment of Heritage Imperial. For me, it lies foul in the mouth of any person to criticize the actions of the IMCM at that time.
Also in this package, governing NPP describes NDC flag bearer John Mahama's maiden speech as unconvincing and an attempt to whitewash what they say is a poor track record while in government.
Everything the former president said yesterday cannot be trusted. If you measure his performance in the past and what he's saying, you ask the simple question, Benjamin, why didn't he do these?
We have details of that. And in sports,
relief for Yendi youth as government recommits to the completion of the Yendi Youth Resource Center.
We have details of that. And also Ghanaian influencer Hajia For Real said to be placed in home detention as she pleads not guilty to charges of money laundering, wire fraud and receipt of stolen money. If I pull up in a car, I'm the owner. And then much later, we'll tell you why Ochiame Kwame stopped taking in alcohol.
All the alcohol I've drank in 47 years, if I should put it in one beer bottle, it will be like half. I don't drink alcohol. I want to be conscious. I want to be aware.
And more coming up in this afternoon's edition of the Midday News. I am Emefa Apau. This is your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Please stay on for details. Many thanks for choosing us. We start off from Bream North District in the Eastern Region, where the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, and the Fire Service have joined efforts with locals at Kolite in the area to rescue miners trapped in a collapsed illegal mine. The incident, which happened Monday morning, has claimed 7 lives. 3 others rescued by locals are said to be receiving treatment at a health facility yet to be disclosed. Meanwhile, it is unclear how many more are under the rubble. This is how an eyewitness explained what transpired.
They are young men who are trying to make ends meet. Because of the unemployment issues, they had gone underground in search of precious mineral, but it caved in on them. When we arrived, they were underneath. So we first called the police and fire service because they are better trained to assist. We waited for about 5 hours and then decided to intervene. We managed to pull out some miners who were injured.
Let's get on the phone lines now and bring in Douglas Adumako. He's the Bream North Deputy District NADMO Director. We're grateful for your time here on the Midday News. So the rescue operations are on. Can you give us the very latest on how the rescue efforts has been so far?
All right. Good afternoon to you. NADMO is at the scene with the Minerals Commission trying to ascertain exactly what has transpired down here. And according to the unit committee chairman who gave us information from the area, he said 10 people were trapped down there, and unfortunately, out of the 10, 7 were dead and 3 sustained severe injuries, and they have been sent to hospital for treatment. And we are of the view that we need to get the proper equipment so that we'll be able to dig down and find out if truly only 10 people were trapped and unfortunately 7 were dead. That is what the NADMO with the minerals team are trying to do now. So that unfortunately, if there is somebody down there, the person can never be alive, because the situation down here is very, very, very terrible. And the way our youth are engaging in this illegal activity down here, honestly speaking, if half a brother will assist here, then it will be prudent you come down here and move the person out of this place, because the practice here is very dangerous.
Well,
very dangerous.
Okay, but Mr. Adumako, I heard you say that you are working to get a particular equipment to be able to get anyone who is trapped in there, even though you fear whoever is trapped there is dead. How far are we in terms of plans to get this particular equipment that we are looking for?
The district chief executive has been spoken to, and plans are underway, or people are underway. I mean, with those needed, we are talking of excavator and those things. So we need to get all those machines to be able to assist the men down here to know exactly what is under there.
And Mr. Adumako, briefly, paint a picture to us about how bad the situation is when it comes to illegal mining in this particular area.
Honestly speaking, when you come here, and if I'm to send you pictures of the situation, the canal, let me use this word, canal, they have dig through the rock, and they are using small posts in the name of stopping the pit to fall on them. And honestly speaking, according to them, they have about more than 10 electrical posts underground, which people climb through for this stones or the rocks. That is what they get the gold from. And so it is very dangerous, scary. Walking through the tunnel is something we need not to encourage at all.
Okay, Mr. Adumako, we are grateful. That's Douglas Adumako. He's a Bream North Deputy District NADMO Director. And well, the DCE for the area, Raymond Nana Damte, also told my colleague Benis Abubedu Lansa on the AM show that he's unaware of illegal mining in the area until this incident.
No, they use the indigents over there, and the other people, they are working with them on the Galamsey.
So they didn't inform the police at all until you got wind of it?
They didn't inform the police from 9 a.m. until we get to know around 5 p.m.
Were you aware that Galamsey activities were happening in that part?
The only time I'm aware was yesterday when I heard the incident happen and went to the sea where I didn't know there was a Galamsey activities was going on since they started. And I don't know when they started Galamsey activities over there. But they was doing the Galamsey over there where the incident happened yesterday.
And the police is also not aware that these Galamseyers are there?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I can say yes, but how did I confirm that? As I said earlier, that part over there fall in Koko police administration. So anything happen over there, they report to the Koko.
That's the Birim North DCE, Raymond Damte there, speaking earlier to Bernice Abubedu Lanza on the AM show. This is an issue that will continue to follow and bring you the very latest on, but closely linked to illegal mining. Joy News is learning that former chairman of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, has confirmed authoring a report on the committee's fight against Galamsey before interrogators at the Office of the Special Prosecutor. The interrogation, which is ongoing, aims at unraveling suspected corruption and related offences targeting activities and expenditure of the dissolved Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. My colleague Elton Brobe has been monitoring the events there. He joins me in studio with more on this. Elton, let's talk about what more the Office of the Special Prosecutor is seeking to get from Professor Frimpong Boateng.
So our sources is telling us that Professor Frimpong Boateng is before the committee on two issues. The report he sent to the Chief of Staff, and then the Special Prosecutor's own investigation into activities of the Interministerial Committee. Now, they are looking at the activities and expenditure of the dissolved Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, especially in respect of the seizure and management of excavators, machinery, road vehicles, gold nuggets. There's allegation that some members of the committee took away gold they seized from some of the illegal miners, and they have records pointing to that fact. And so he's there to respond to these issues of gold nuggets, and officials of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, as well as the Forestry Commission and public officials alongside. Secondly, because he's confirmed that he authored this report that was delivered to the Office of the Chief of Staff, they are also going into this matter. What we are picking is that it's already confirmed that every word in that report belongs to him.
Okay, so what has he been telling the interrogators so far from what you picked up?
We are yet to get the details of what exactly he is telling interrogators, but what we have confirmed from our sources is that he's confirmed that he indeed put out this particular report. Now, he was asked whether he's the one who provided this report to the media. His response, from what we've picked from our sources, is that he said he gave the report to two individuals, the Chief of Staff Office and the Police Criminal Investigation Department. And for that matter, if there should be any leak, the OSP should trace to either the Chief of Staff Office or the CID. He only came out to respond to this report when aspects of it were being doctored in the media.
Okay, well, there's this matter also about Imperial Heritage Mining, some judgment debt. We know that this particular company, according to that report, has a connection to the president's cousin, Gabi Asare-Otchere-Darko. Let's talk more about it.
So, if you check the report, reference is made to a particular incident where Professor Frimpong Boateng said that he came under severe attack. A fierce attacker was Mr. Kweku Baako, a journalist who personally called me. I'm just referencing what he wrote in the report, to inform me that the managers of C&J were his friends. Mr. Kweku Baako published unsavory things about me at the time. Having been dislodged from there, so Mr. Donald Ensua formed another mining company called Imperial Heritage and managed to get concessions in Krobo and Aprapram Forest in Amansea Central District of the Ashanti region. Using satellite imagery, we followed the activities of Imperial Heritage over the years to date. The damage caused in the forest is many times greater than what happened in Duasom. We were ready to dislodge Imperial Heritage from Krobo Forest when Mr. Gabi Asare-Otchere-Darko called to inform me that he was the lawyer for Imperial Heritage Limited, a company that was destroying the Krobo and Aprapram Forest Reserve, and in the process had also polluted and diverted the course of the river. So we are very much aware that Gabi has already taken this matter to court. Okay. But this morning, the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Godfrey Eboadame, says that he managed to, reverse this matter because there was a judgment of $50 million that the country was expected to pay.
I did not know about it before the judgment was given. I was Deputy Attorney General, and as Deputy Attorney General, you perform your functions to assist your minister. It is only when you are assigned a brief that you handle. And so really, I think I heard about it for the first time on Joy FM June 2021 or so. And again, it was within the context of harsh criticism, being leveled against the government for banning mining equipment. And that is why I said that I recognize some hypocrisy in it. The hypocrisy will be manifest when you take account of the fact that after I had made an application to the High Court just on hearing the discussion on Joy FM. Unfortunately, the High Court had upheld the application after a lot of arguments and all that. Then those who were actually berating the government for incurring such judgment debt started questioning why the Attorney General has succeeded in getting the judgment set aside. And I felt that was really without basis, and if for nothing at all, we ought to be commended.
Well, on the entire report, Godfrey Yewandami says Professor Frimpong Boateng does not tell the full story. Is that okay?
Exactly, Mifa.
I have not seen it. I've only heard about it and some discussions. So I'm not in a position to authenticate some of the issues. I realize that in the report, Mr. Heritage in Peru, which you just put up, but significantly, it omitted reference to the judgment that had been set aside and all that. And I think that these are very important matters. So preliminarily, I will indicate that, or it suggests that it is not the full perspective of issues that were addressed by the respected professor. And it's just his view on certain matters. And it is being put through the processes. I understand that there are some petitions as such and Special Prosecutor's Office. That is the process that we all have to subscribe to.
He was the chair of the committee. Is it fair to reduce his report to his views?
Yeah, because even an attorney general, when I take a matter to court, it's my view on the matter. And many a time, yes, we the courts do not subscribe to our view.
So the interrogation is currently underway.
Yes.
That's the interrogation of Professor Frimpong Boateng at the OSP. What happens after that?
So what we have picked is that with the confirmation by Professor Frimpong Boateng, now they have names of people who, according to him, were involved in illegal mining, and for that reason, the OSP will now initiate steps to invite all of these people to answer for whatever is before them.
Okay, thank you very much, Elton Brobe. It's time to get into the election headquarters. And this afternoon, the governing NPP has described NDC flag bearer John Dramani Mahama's maiden speech as unconvincing and an attempt to whitewash what they say is his poor track record while in government. Mr. Mahama yesterday officially addressed party members and the nation at large, announcing a raft of policy measures he intends to implement if he wins the 2024 polls.
The president no longer makes corruption a pet topic in any of his speeches because corruption has defeated him hands down. And let me assure you, as I stated in Garu in the Upper East during my campaign tour, that I will adopt a robust root and branch approach to fighting corruption. Because corruption is a major source through which state resources are lost. It will not matter whether the people involved in the corruption are our own people or from some other party. We will continue the constitution review process commenced by President John Evans Atta Mills of blessed memory. We will carry it to its logical conclusion.
Well, Director of Communications for the governing NPP, Richard Ahiagba, says the former president cannot be trusted.
Everything the former president said yesterday cannot be trusted. Nobody will be able to hang their hat on it, because if you measure his performance in the past and what he's saying, you ask the simple question, Benjamin, why didn't he do these things the first time? Under him, J.B. Danko died. Samuel Enin died under him. Now, suddenly he's able to investigate the death of Ahmed Swale. What happened to Enin? What about J.B. Danko's death? Why was he not investigated? If it was that simple to just investigate that in a broad stroke, one time we have investigated is done.
Well, special aide to Mr. Mahama, Joyce Bawa Mukhtari, disagrees. She maintains the former president has a solid track record.
You live in a government that has failed entirely to deliver on any promise they ever made to the good people of Ghana. He literally speaks from the left and right of his mouth, and I think all he thinks about is how to make President Mahama sound unconvincing. Benjamin, that we are actually where we are. That we have so many Ghanaians, young and old, who are listening and paying rapt attention, who are actually watching and waiting to see just what Mr. Mahama has to offer. Tells you one thing, that Mr. Mahama has proven himself resilient enough.
Well, political marketing strategist Dr. Tutu Buahi meanwhile says the results of the just ended NDC primary shows that John Dramani Mahama has improved his support base.
When you check the statistics, not just the percentage, which is the 98.9, but the various constituencies and the numbers that were coming, he has actually gathered a lot of support in some of these areas. In fact, for you to get an absolute figure of about 2,880 from Ashaman, that is very powerful. And even though we know that Ashama is a strong area for the NDC, it tells you that the delegates went for him, and if the voting pattern in these areas is anything to go by in terms of the representation on the ground, then obviously we would expect that it is going to be a straight win probably for the NDC come 2024.
Time for a quick breather here on the Midday News. Live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra. In Kumasi, we're on Love 99.5 FM. We are on Twitter Spaces. We're on Facebook, myjoyonline.com, and a number of affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. The Midday News is proudly sponsored by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Also brought to you by Duraplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC pipes and water tank. Where Duraplus goes, water flows. In our top stories this afternoon, Natmo and Fire Service join in frantic efforts to rescue trapped miners in a collapsed mine in the Birim North District as 7 people are confirmed dead. When we return, we have sport, and then in today's episode of Ghana School of Shame, we introduce you to the concept of writing in the air. That's how a teacher is instructing students. And then Ghanaian influencer Hajia Foreo said to be placed in home detention as she pleads not guilty to charges of money laundering, wire fraud, and receipt of stolen money.
If I pull up in a car, I'm the owner.
Thanks for staying with us. It's time for sports, and Daniel Granting is in the studios. Hello, Daniel.
Hi, Mefa. Let's go straight into the story. And Sports Minister Mustafa Yusuf has reiterated government's commitment to complete the Yendi Youth Resource Center. In March this year, Joy Sports ran a Bush Resource Center campaign focusing on government's neglect of the 10 youth resource centers that were promised back in 2018. This prompted a swift response by authorities in attempts to complete the various projects, and the CEO of the National Youth Authority, Pius Hajide, has committed to completing an initial tranche of 50% for the Yendi project.
I was with the president and we visited our facility. The first phase, I'm told, is completed, and the contractor, the second phase contractor, is being prepared to come and go on. So work is going to be completed on the Yendi Youth Resource Center, and that Youth Resource Center is a part of the 10 Youth Resource Centers that we are doing. Currently, when you go to Kofodia, Adaklu, you go to Azim, you go to Dunkwa Ofen, all these facilities are being worked on. And why? So once these first 5 of them, the second phases are done, the next 5 second phase will also be worked on, and they will be put into good use.
That was a Sports Minister Mustafa Yusuf speaking there. That's all for sports. Back to you, MFA.
Thank you very much, Danny. Now, to teach her pupils, a frustrated teacher who had no chalkboard to write after strong winds carried away a chalkboard she bought for her class decided to be innovative. Matilda Dosola started what she calls air writing. So what she does is she gestures in the air, and her pupils will also write down what they see. But how effective is this? Because it looks like it's just a charade. In today's episode of Ghana Schools of Shame, Jojo Kobna takes you to Kantu DA Primary School in the Wa West District, where teachers say the lack of basic learning tools frustrates them.
Strong winds and heavy rains pulled down a madhouse structure that served as a classroom in Kantu, a community in Wa West District of the Upper West region. The chalkboards were also destroyed. About 3 classes were forced to relocate under a tree. So the teacher in Primary 2, Matilda Dosela, tried to get another chalkboard, but that one was also carried away by another strong wind. Frustrated, she organized a PTA meeting, but the parents are yet to raise enough funds to buy plywood for the chalkboards.
There was a time we called for PTA, so they raised some small amount. But looking at it, it will not reach all the classrooms, and it's not each person that removed the money; it's the whole community. So we are still appealing to add more so that we can get some plywood and so that we'll be managing for the meantime.
Matilda has started something called air writing. This simply means gesturing in the air for pupils to write.
To write the letter A, slant the number 1 to the left and extend another number to the right. Now, join the two lines horizontally.
So this is our A. Abi, enter.
Writing in the air for pupils to write is not only stressful, but also ineffective.
With this our condition is very difficult because assuming I was having all the facilities, I wouldn't have been struggling as I'm struggling. I would have just showed there would have been some objects. I'll even show that this is that.
Well, I'll take you to the Ashanti region now, where majority of people infected with rabies in the region are dog owners who suffered dog bites. The region recorded 12 fatal cases last year, with 4 of them recorded in the last quarter. Over 6,000 dogs are being targeted in an anti-rabies vaccination exercise in the Busomchi district. There's more in the following report by Ohiming Terrier of our health desk.
Rabies infection usually occurs following a deep bite or scratch from an animal with rabies. Transmission to humans by rabid dogs accounts for up to 99% of cases in Ghana. Its transmission can be stopped through vaccination. Asante Achim South, Bosomtwe and Kwabri East are some of the latest districts that recorded rabies cases in 2022. According to the Ghana Health Service, people infected with rabies in the Ashanti region, majority being dog owners who suffered dog bites, have all died. Dr. Mabel Abudu is the regional director of the veterinary services.
We had 77 specimens, and then 38 out of the specimens we received were positive, and human involvement were about 43. It means that one dog can bite 1 or 2. Vaccines are available, but the challenge is that people don't feel the need to pay. It's expensive. When you go to the hinterlands, you may have somebody having about 10, 15 dogs. Even if you are charging 10 cedis per dose, and then he's having 150 Ghana cedis, he will not do.
And now, Ghanaian influencer Hajia Forio is set to be placed in home detention after she pleaded not guilty to charges of money laundering, wire fraud, and receipt of stolen money at a U.S. federal court. There's more in the following report.
If I pull up in a car, I'm the owner.
Alleged that the musician engaged in a series of romance schemes targeting older people who lived alone. She's said to have acted with others from West Africa who assumed fake identities to trick people into thinking they were in relationships with them using emails, text, and social media messages. The scammers would then get the victims to transfer money to them under false pretenses, such as to help them move to the US from overseas, to resolve bogus FBI investigations, and payments to help fake US Army officers in Afghanistan. In one case, she allegedly duped the victim into sending her $89,000 through 82 wire transfers on the pretext of helping her father's farm in Ghana. She's alleged to have tricked one person into believing they were married by sending them a tribal marriage certificate after a series of phone conversations using her real identity. She pleaded not guilty during a court appearance and is set to be released on home detention to her aunt's New Jersey residence in the coming days on a $500,000 bond with a GPS ankle monitor. Her lawyers say only one of the 6 victims alleges that he dealt with her directly.
Well, and just before we go, Rapper Chiame Kwame says he stays away from alcohol and drugs because he wants to remain conscious at all times. He's been speaking to Joy Entertainment's Kwame Dazi.
Before, but all the alcohol I've drank in 47 years, if I should put it in one beer bottle, it will be like half. I don't drink alcohol.
You know, there is this perception that if you are a showbiz person, especially a rapper, a musician, you're exposed to drinks, how do you call it, weed and all that.
Yes.
Did you ever smoke weed?
I have smoked weed before, twice in my life. 1, 2. I didn't enjoy it.
How the experience?
It felt like, see, this is me. I want to be conscious. I want to be aware. I want to know what is happening around me. I want to feel what is happening within me. So everything that intoxicates me, I don't like. You know, so when I drank it, I became slow.
Oh.
I became boko.
And that's how we wrap up today's edition of the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com as Santehene leads discussions with British Museum over regalia return at retaking or taking from Ashantis. And also start writing your handover notes, Bahama tells NPP. And if you want to know your paternity, pick a political card and run for a position. That's Dr. Titus Bayu. We have Living Word with Pastor Mensa Otabil up next. I am MFA Apau. Thank you so much.